6 days of pure magic. Human Design Rave Festival 2024.
Hello,
Hey,
hello.
Jakub,
Hi, Julia. Hi,
and we are
Veronica.
welcoming you. And we start with a Human Design Rave Festival 2024 very, very soon. And you being one of our teachers, so we are very glad to present you and to have a little talk about your story and to hear what you really bringing, and you're bringing very, very different and very hot topic. At least that's how I feel when I saw it. But yeah, let's start from the beginning. Actually, guys, you know that Jakub was my teacher in the PTL1 when I started my analyst path, and so I have a very special place also in my heart with you, and you being my neighbor in Czech Republic, and really being a pioneer of this system in this whole region. So
Yeah.
maybe we start with your story. How did you get into human design? How did that
Yeah,
happen?
yeah, thanks. Yeah, I met human design in 2006 through a friend, a guy named Deepak who lived in Taiwan where I lived at the moment. And he was actually kind of same age as Ra, and they were buddies. They met each other in Ibiza. And he visited Ra in his house there, and Ra gave him a reading, and then he did like a LYD guide training with him. They were just buddies, smoking joints, talking about life, and just this guy was in India where I met him, and then he lived in Taiwan. And one day I walked into his house, and he showed me my chart on the computer, and he said, "This is you." And that was the first time I saw a chart, and he was like, "This is you." And I was like, "Wow, I need to know more about that." And basically, that was like in August 2006, and then from September, I was studying with Linda Bennell, and never stopped. Basically, I went through all the courses, and then I met Genoa Bliven from Human Design America, and we became friends. He became my mentor, teacher, and then I ended up teaching in Czech Republic and then teaching for Human Design America online. So it was just like I saw the chart and I knew I need to know more about it as soon as that happened. So yeah, I came back to Czech Republic in 2008, and since then I was doing readings and then courses. So it's been quite a ride now. Yeah.
Hmm. Wow.
And
Yeah.
I really liked also your previous lecture during the Rave Marathon, which was you know bringing so much softness compared to raw style, and it was really like no judgment there. It's okay, and I really like that message. And actually, you're bringing a similar maybe not similar topic, but simplifying human design, and what are the main parts in the body graph, what to pay attention to. Would you like to share more about your lecture upcoming?
Right, happy to, sure. Yeah, so as I did these lectures with you for the last 2 years and I participated at another event online, I was thinking what could be really fun for people to hear. And then because I teach professional training, all the levels, I thought, well, one of the things that are so crucial in the chart and also people really don't understand them unless they go through professional training is what are really the priorities in the chart. And the priorities are, on the part of definition, obviously, and the priorities are also in the openness. So in the definition, the priority is obviously the channel that defines the authority. And if it's a split definition, then that part of a split, that part of a chart, which let's say you have a root to solar plexus, let's say you have a 1949 channel of sensitivity, right, and synthesis. And then somebody else, and the other channel could be from spleen to throat. Obviously, the root to solar plexus is a priority. unless the person takes time to be clear what are their needs and where they can support or should refuse to support other people in their needs and getting their needs met, you know, the other channel is not going to work correctly. And of course, the spleen to throat wants to just get ahead and, you know, just shoot from the hip and just shoot off and speak and do things. But, you know, then the real priority in chart will be silent, will not be recognized, will not be appreciated, will not be lived out. And the person will not be, in this case, successful as a projector in this case. So that's the priority on the part of definition. And it just, I think it's a good thing to just point it out, map it out, and just put it clearly in some examples in charts where, you know, where as you see the chart and I bring it up, you know, it becomes more clear. Like, yes, everything else really must serve the authority. And the authority is so much linked with the channel that defines the authority that you could almost say that the authority is not just in the authority center, but it's also the intelligence of that channel that defines the authority center that makes the decision, you know. So like, you know, a generator with the channel of rhythm, design of being in the flow is going to respond to that flow. Anything that's going to take him in the flow, the response will be there. If not, then he's not going to respond, or she. So that's the definition part. And then, of course, the more interesting part, probably even more interesting, is looking at the openness and using the openness as a signpost. Like when we know what is the real priority in the openness, and Ra spoke about signposts. Like we know that maybe a bridging gate is the priority in the openness. If it's a split definition and there is a gate that would bridge the split, then we look at the bridging gate and we see that these are the people that will invite you or that you will respond to or that you will inform, depending on your type. And of course, it may be at an, you know, conditioning for you to want to become that that gate, that bridging gate. So again, I'm going to go through examples and point out the priorities, because it's when you see it in your chart, then it's not like, oh my God, there are so many things wrong with me. Of course, we can go on and on and on. And the more we focus on the problem, the more we see a problem. And when we fix it, there is always another problem. So that's what I like very much about human design, and what I spoke about, you know, in the previous marathon, is that, you know, fixing on the problem is not really going to solve it. We need to put our attention on the authority and on that which works. But in the openness, there is like a whole lot of things you can map out and look at the priorities. And when I do it in PTL1, it just becomes clear to people. And I just want to share it in a way that people who maybe are even new to human design or didn't do the courses, and I definitely didn't do the professional training, can understand it. And so when they look at it, they can have some grasp of what are the priorities in my chart. Because understanding these priorities helps you really to be aligned with yourself, and it's like a kind of a self-correction mechanism. Like you get the priorities, you are more aware of what works for you and what doesn't.
It's incredible, Jakub. And because I've been your student and I've been really conditioned with this approach, I see how my readings are really different from some colleagues, because people obviously like to get readings from several people. There are many people who like to get several readings, and then there is a comparison, and that element of supporting the definition and supporting the it's not just supporting, it's also empowering, because so many people who come for readings, they already come from place of being wounded and being hit by life so much, and just pointing them again, you are with starting with the openness and pointing that you are not living your life doesn't do the actual job. And so here it's just feels very valuable what you're saying. I have a question though. Can we are you going to bring your examples, or can we also invite people from the audience to bring their charts, and we can base
We may.
the offering also?
Yeah, we may. I did it previously. I think it's fun, but also I will definitely have some examples because, you know, to really put it out for people to really get it, I need to select charts carefully to show exactly what I want to show. But I'm happy to also invite people from the audience as all as before, and just type in their, birth data and open up the chart and look at it as we do that. I'm happy to do that. But first, I need to present with examples. But then, yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be interactive. We can do that for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So that is really the main thing that I want to discuss, that because the main topic that I wanted to share, I already shared pretty much, last year and the year before, that the openness doesn't mean it's a problem. The openness is where we meet the world, where we get help, where we get support, where we get access to resources that we don't have on our own. This is where we make friends. This is where we meet the world. Openness doesn't equal a problem, which is, so much kind of the way of looking at it, because that's how Ra spoke about it a lot, a lot of the times. But it's like the world is not out to get us. We are here to live the life, and of course we're open. And this is where we just need to find the right relationship with that which enters into us. And I did speak about it before, so I don't want to go on and on. But this thing about priorities, of course, it touches the openness. It's gonna be part of that is gonna be openness. But I think this is gonna be really nice because people just who don't go through the educational process, they have just a general understanding, and then they listen to some recordings and readings and maybe lectures from Ra. But this isn't really discussed. This really isn't part of kind of the layman's mainstream information about human design. Looking at the priorities is stuff of the professional training, but I can bring it, we can bring it to people in a way that they'll get it, and they will be like enriched, and they'll understand their charts better. So that's what I want to do. Yeah.
I really love your flow and continuation on the previous topic, and because we will have also newbies, it will be really nice for them to be able indeed to tune in to at the end strategy and authority, and really see what's the priorities. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this will be very helpful.
Yeah. Julia?
I think this is enough for now, but maybe Veronica, you have more questions for Jakub?
Yeah, actually I have one. Because you're teaching PTL, and as a teacher, what is like the biggest challenge? Because we know new people that are coming to human design, especially younger people, they're a little bit different. Their attention span is shorter, and they're different. What is your experience with the different ages and people?
Yeah, well, in the professional training and in the kind of a formal, what Ra called the foundational courses, which is Living Your Design, Rave ABC, and Rave Cartography, we don't get that many people under 30, actually, which is a shame. It would be great to have young people participate more, and that's kind of a challenge for the future, I guess, and how to do that. But yeah, we don't have that many young people in the educational process, and in professional training, rarely somebody who's below 30. Usually it's 30 up, and usually kind of 35 to 50, kind of the average. So, and really, when we talk about kind of these foundational courses, I think there must be a way of making it more accessible, more fun. I'm always looking for that, but my attention has really moved now to the professional training since, a few years ago. So in terms of professional training, there is no going around it. It requires a lot of investment. Like if you really want to get it, you really need to study things, you really need to practice, you really need to dedicate yourself to it. There is no way around it. So what it gives me, and that's kind of the second topic that I want to discuss at the marathon, is that, and it's going to be kind of a add on, it's not going to take that much time. It's going to be something towards the end, but that topic is simplification of human design. And it's not that uh, uh, it's not that I'm going to do like a dumbed down version of what human design is, but it's more like, how do you explain it in words that are more easier to comprehend? My quest of like finding out what is the response, is part of that. I've been kind of trying to first figure out for myself what the response is as a generator, as an MG, and then figure out how to translate that experience or that understanding to other people. And the more I do readings and the more I teach, it's more about, okay, we've got all these keynotes, but if we just speak the keynote language, we speak like a foreign language. We sound like Martians. We need to have a way of communicating human design as if you were telling a joke to your neighbor across the fence, or as if you were explaining it to your grandfather. Like find a way of speaking about it that doesn't sound so like weird. Of course, the keynotes are great, and Ra was a real genius in coming up with the names of the gates and lines and channels and all of that. And we need to quote these keynotes too, but we also need to find a way to speak about it. So, as an example, the typical mantra for a generator is response. And of course, we speak about the signature, which is a satisfaction. And then the opposite of satisfaction is frustration. But it's on a scale. Here is satisfaction, here is frustration. But you go, oh, it's kind of okay. I like it. Wow, I'm really enjoying it. This is great. Oh, I'm absolutely like satisfied, like whole body satisfaction, kind of like you have an orgasm almost, kind of there. That's the ultimate satisfaction for a generator, right? And then you go like, yeah, it's kind of boring. I don't really like it. It's a drag. Oh, it's really exhausting me. Oh my God, this is so frustrating. I feel so stuck in my energy. Like part of the way I speak about human design is not just saying frustration and satisfaction, but you can bring in more of the nuance in between, to make it more accessible to people, so that kind of things, I just want to bring that up kind of for food for thought and just an inspiration. It's going to be kind of a new thing for me. I never really formally talked about it in this way. I just do it in classes, but to kind of think about it, how to make it easier for people to get human design, because of course, as I'm training analysts, they're trying to get it right, and they're do their best. But with experience of doing a lot of readings and being in human design for years, the more you do that, and I think this is universal, the more kind of simpler you're able to communicate the message. At the beginning, if you are just learning and you're in an analyst training, it sounds so confusing and complicated. And the more you're experienced, the easier you can make the delivery. So that's what I want to do, like towards the end, after we go through priorities, to look at how to simplify things and how to speak about it in more like simpler terms. That's the second bit. Yeah. A short at the end there.
And actually, it's so good that we got there, because it is also our intent with the festival is to actually build a bridge between the original raw frequency and the first wave of teachers and professionals who were really impacted by him and his energy, but also their students and the second wave, and exactly making a bridge to the new generation who is not so interested indeed in the details, in the gates and this and that, but in really living the strategy and authority. And I also see it with my child, because obviously she knows I'm into human design. I don't impose her any theory or anything. I have been treating her like a generator and with respect to her design. And they're really only interested in just living it somehow. And yeah, so it's going to be a great addition so that we can really build that bridge, that connection between the future, which is our children, and the new people which are coming.
Yeah, I agree exactly. How to put it out in a simple way And then the main part, the priorities, are exactly the signposts. If these people know the priorities, they can pay more attention and be better at kind of fine-tuning their way back to the authority. So yeah, I'm with you. Just how do we make it into actionable thing? Like how do we live it? It's a great body of knowledge. One can study it for years. How do we make it happen? Yeah, cool.
And it's not that simple as it might seem, because out there are a lot of people who did not go through professional education, and they're putting the system out, and they try to simplify as well, but the simplification comes a lot with a distortion of the keynoting. And that's actually the big thing, that we have so many people coming, I mean, all of us as analysts, from these simplified versions that are distortion. So I guess this is the mastery here that we are all striving for, is to simplify without distorting.
Right, exactly.
Well.
And you know, people who just didn't go through training, they think, oh, I can read everything online. I can, you know, of course you can find anything online, all kinds of recordings and everything. But unless they go through a real training and have a guide to guide them through it, they're gonna impose their own ideas and they're gonna confuse people. And one thing that Genoa said, you know, a long time ago, but I still remember it, is that when somebody tells you so many things about you that you know are exactly right, and then out of that 100%, they say maybe 10% that are not exactly true or a little misleading, you tend to believe it anyway because everything else checks. You go like, oh my God, this is so true. And then you take it on board. And again, you give up your authority. This time, you give it up to the person who does a reading for you, or you give it up to the human design system. And no, this is all about giving the authority back to you and giving the power back to people, you know, back to each individual. So, yeah.
Wow. This is an amazing finish for our interview, I think. Giving power back to the people.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks.
We too. We're excited to have you.
Very, very, very exciting to see how you put such advanced topics that we study in the analyst trainings into simplified version that can be accessible to everyone. It's so valuable. So yeah, thank you for this, and we're looking forward.
Yeah, me too. Looking forward to meeting people at the marathon. All right.
Yay.
Okay.
Ciao then for now, and see you soon.
See you.
See you
Bye.
soon. Bye.
Get your tickets today. See you soon.